Okay. Testing. 1, 2, 3. So if you're watching this and you're going, oh my goodness, I have some of those symptoms, I have 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or all of those symptoms and more, then I really want this video to be hopeful to you, encouraging to you. Let me boldly declare to you that there is hope for healing and that this protocol is one of those amazing tools and gifts. I can't say enough about it. It has fully saved my life. God has saved my life through this protocol. Hey you guys, welcome back to House. So glad you're here. I'm very excited today to share with you something very near and dear to my heart, and that is my detox protocol, the thing that I have been doing for the last year and a half to heal from chronic illness. And I have a whole list of symptoms that I have been living with for the last 8 years, ever since I crashed from my fertility treatments. If you haven't watched that video yet, that'll give you a really good foundational understanding of where I'm coming from and my story. So you can go ahead and click that link here. There were a whole host of problems that happened with the fertility treatments for me. It poisoned my liver, it destroyed my gut, it caused some really severe brain chemistry problems, and I was bedridden for a year. I could not function on my own. I had family members coming in, taking turns, taking care of me. My husband quit his job. It was a lot of life-changing stuff. Ever since that point, the difficulty has been to heal completely. And there were multiple things going on that we did not know at the time. And since starting this protocol, it's all healing up. And so I wanted to share with you this protocol because it is completely life-changing. And I feel passionate and compelled to tell you about it because I was one of those people who 8 years ago had no clue what holistic approach to wellness. I had really no concept of the tools at our disposal to be able to heal. And so God was really kind and brought us on that journey, and I'm so grateful. And so I did begin to make progress with the doctors that I saw. I want to praise and thank the Lord for them because they were all stepping stones to this point. If you found my video somehow through the internet magic that happens, somehow you come across somebody's video and you watch it and you go, oh my goodness, this is what I need to know. I want to be that person for you if that is something that you need. I didn't share a bunch of details in my first video about just the basic story of my health journey, but I really want to tell you now because it's the symptoms that I lived with for the last 8 years that would not quit, and they were debilitating symptoms. So if you're watching this and you're going, oh my goodness, I have some of those symptoms, I have 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or all of those symptoms and more, then I really want this video to be hopeful to you, encouraging to you, because I was in a place where I was literally like, okay, Lord, there's nothing for me. Like, I basically have to live this way the rest of my life. And I just assumed that that was going to be the rest of my life. Let me boldly declare to you that there is hope for healing and that this protocol is one of those amazing tools and gifts from the Lord. I can't say enough about it. It has fully saved my life. God has saved my life through this protocol. It is absolutely astounding. Okay, so let me list kind of the symptoms that I had going for the last 8 years. It all started after my fertility treatments. Let me just list them off for you, okay? The first one was debilitating fatigue. This is not, oh, I'm tired. This is, I can't use my arms or my legs, okay? That kind of fatigue and weakness. I was literally in bed for a year. I needed help to go to the bathroom. I needed help to take a bath or a shower. I couldn't get food on my own. I couldn't walk around and be normal. I was horizontal for an entire year. Now, after I started seeing a basic holistic chiropractor who really helped start to do some basic cleansing of my liver, I was able to start getting out of bed. But there was never a day in the last 8 years, or since before I started this protocol, there was never a day where I didn't think to myself, I can only do one thing today. Like, and if that's showering, that's my thing. Like, I can only shower today. I don't have any other strength left after that. And to have that in your mind constantly for 8 years, going, I have to measure my strength and my output or I won't make it today. I have to actually like plan out my day. That's not normal. And I think I lived with it for so long that it was just like, well, this is my normal. And it's, you know, I guess it's what it is and it's okay. But really it's not okay. And really it's a sign of the mitochondria being so used up on having to fight big fires in the body, big immune issues, that it has nothing left for just basic, for energy and basic life. It's using everything up on having to deal with hidden infections and all kinds of stuff. So I had no idea about that, but that was the number one symptom that I had from starting from 8 years ago, and debilitating fatigue to where I would do something like get up in the morning and get dressed, and I would be so exhausted I'd have to go straight back to bed. So I would have to just measure out my day, like, okay, if we're gonna have company over tonight, then I need to stay in bed all day and do absolutely nothing and eat about 17 times a day so that I have enough strength for tonight. Okay. Number 2 is I had to eat every 45 minutes. I know the reason now, but at the time it was such a mysterious thing. And this is like 8 years of this. You can imagine what an impact that had on my weight and on my insulin levels. I was not diabetic at all. I had been tested several times over the years. I was struggling to get to eat enough food. Now that was such a horrible, horrible feeling, because everywhere I go, I would have to bring so much food with me. Church was such a difficulty, and we lived literally across the driveway from our church, because we lived in that house. If you guys haven't seen my introductory video to my channel, the story of Heisa House, make sure and click that here if you want to see that. But we lived literally across the driveway from our sanctuary building. And it's so hard and scary for me to get up and get ready for church and walk across the street or walk across the driveway and go, you know, be in the church service. I had to bring all kinds of food, and I had to make sure that there was carbs and that there was protein. And if I didn't have protein, I would start to feel faint. It was the most bizarre thing, and I really, really struggled. So the fatigue was just incredible, like such a weakness in my limbs and in my arms and legs, and just a shakiness, just the inability for my nervous system to be calm. There was constant flutterings and muscle spasms and just weird shakiness, and I had problems with my eyes that should have been a red neon sign blinking at us going, you've got liver toxicity. But one of the things from the fertility treatments that in the fine print, one of the side effects is double vision or any eye problems. So there were some real consequences after the fact for my eyes, and I still believe that there are some things that I'm healing from with my eyesight and my vision. I think the third thing that was just so debilitating was nonstop panic. When I crashed, the day that I crashed from the fertility treatments, I had basically 24/7 panic attacks, and they would just take over my body. I was riddled with uncontrollable shaking. I just remember lying in bed and my family surrounding me trying to figure out what is happening, and convulsing. I mean, I wasn't having epilepsy or anything like that, but convulsing from the panic attack. My body had no more ability to cope. And part of that is, and I want to dive into this a little bit because I want people who are thinking about fertility treatments to know the ramifications. Injecting you with all these chemicals that are foreign to your body, and then also for the particular study that I did, and there's often these kinds of requirements, I was not allowed to take B vitamins or any vitamins whatsoever because they didn't want anything interacting with the drug. So I was not able to take the things that a body needs to be able to detox from any chemicals or toxins that it receives. And B vitamins are critical baseline foundational vitamins to brain health and the energy and the things that the liver needs to be able to detox. So I was without what I needed and then was given something that was poison to my body. And anytime you take any sort of drug, you are taking something that's supposed to help your body, but you're also taking with it a poison of some kind. And your liver, if it's healthy, can up to a point handle that. But if it's a constant barrage, or it's a strong enough dose or a strong enough barrage for too long, the body will collapse under that. So that's what happened to me, though at the time we did not know what was going on or why I was having these symptoms. I would say that third symptom, that debilitating anxiety, constant panic attacks, never left me. I had a time where I had to be on some drugs to actually calm down those coping thing that's happening in my brain causing the panic attacks, but it was not a solution for me. I felt horrible and worse on those drugs than I did on no drugs. But I had to be on those for a time while I learned what is going on with my body and what do I actually want to do about it. And eventually I weaned myself off of those things and just let my body run its course when I had a panic attack, because the other things were not actually helping me and they were actually making me feel worse. And I knew in the long run that I didn't want to be dependent on anything. I wanted my body to be able to work through. I wanted to give it the tools it needed to be able to heal. And so I did not want to be on any prescription medication that was a band-aid to the problem. I wanted to be able to get to the root cause. Why was I having panic attacks? That was a long journey, but I just learned to roll with them when they came. And slowly, as I did do some basic cleanup of my body and basic food changes, those things did get easier and get less often. But I will say that up until I started this protocol a year and a half ago, I had no idea the level of panic and anxiety I was living under. I just was accustomed to it. And now that I've been doing this protocol, and I'll talk about how the anxiety has diminished now because of what I'm doing and almost completely gone, is I had no idea that it was because of a particular thing happening in my body that this protocol solves. So that was just the worst thing. And I know that so many women handle anxiety and panic attacks all the time, and it's so common for doctors to just prescribe medication. I'm not here to judge whether you're on something or you're not, but for me, I knew that I did not want to be dependent on that stuff for the rest of my life. There was a reason why I was falling apart and I wanted to get to the root cause. There were so many other symptoms, skin issues and food sensitivities like up the wazoo. I couldn't eat eggs, I couldn't eat beans, I couldn't eat grains, I couldn't eat dairy, I couldn't eat gluten. I still don't eat gluten, but that's on the horizon for me with good quality like einkorn flour. I believe that my body will be in a place where I can do that. I was just omitting so many things, and with having to eat every 45 minutes, you can imagine that that was a little frustrating and a little difficult to figure out what to be able to eat every 45 minutes that wasn't in one of those categories. So I was really malnourished. I couldn't actually eat a whole lot of sugar or fruit or anything like that either because of the insulin stuff happening. I was having trouble sleeping. I was having fevers all the time. I just wake up with fevers for no reason. I was having horrible cycles and horrible cramps and just debilitating fatigue during my cycles, even worse than normal. So I would just be, couch ridden for a week, things like that. There was a whole gamut of things that I was going through. When I sat down to list them all here for you guys yesterday, I was writing it all down and I was like, oh my goodness. I had no idea how sick I was. And I think things just come on and you just kind of get accustomed to it because you have to, and you just keep living, and you don't realize that this is not normal. Let me tell you the good news. I have a very close friend who has been walking beside me through all this for all these years, and she had noticed that my health was declining, and she had mentioned, hey Jen, I think you should probably get your house checked for mold. And we knew that our house was moldy. Again, if you've seen our story in the Heist House video, the very first episode of this channel, you'll know that we had remodeled the house that we were in, and it had been super, super moldy for years, and we thought we handled it, and then we hadn't handled it, and we lived in that moldy house for 4 years. And so on top of all the symptoms that I described to you, then I started to get even worse because of the mold. Now, the mold symptoms for me were extreme fatigue, a hard time getting oxygen into my body, a hard time breathing, running out of breath, and then also horrible brain chemistry problems. So I'm talking like beyond depression, like despair. And it would just be on me, and I couldn't see through it until it passed. And usually it would pass if I went outside. And even though we found out later that there was mold surrounding our house, like just in the air and in the soil, but it would be just debilitating despair. And so I would just weep all the time for no reason. I had constant sinus problems, constant ringing in my ears. They came on gradually, but every time we would leave our house, I would feel better. And then every time we would come home, I would immediately, like within 2 minutes, those symptoms would return. I'm not sure why it took us so long to connect that, like, oh, there's something going on with this house. But it took us a while. So my friend was like, you should get your house checked for mold. And we checked it for mold, and lo and behold, it was super moldy. Then I took a blood test and I compared what was in my blood to what was in the house, and it was the exact same mold. So my mold levels in my body were super, super, super high. And this was Penicillium aspergillus. If you guys are walking through a mold thing and you want to know what particular mold was in there. There was another mold in my body too. 2 kinds, one from redwoods and one from damp soil. It's carcinogenic. It's like it totally destroys your brain, and it gets into your organs. It's horribly poisonous. Some people can handle it okay, some people don't. Apparently my liver is one of those that can't. And because it had been compromised, my liver had been compromised with the fertility treatments, I really didn't have a shot. So my friends just suggested, I don't know if this is here or there for you, but this is something that I'm doing and I'm finding it to be really helpful. And it's called Microbe Formulas. Here's the link. My friend's testimony about it was really powerful because she's well read, she's well researched. She's always suggested things that were right on for me. So all that to say, this protocol has been life-changing. I started the protocol and then realized that our house was horribly poisonous and we had to move out. And at that point, after moving out, we realized, you know what? We need to work with a doctor on this. And so the beauty of the protocol is you can work with a doctor or you don't have to work with a doctor. But there are doctors you can work with. But I was in such a sick state that I really needed doctor oversight for this protocol so they could personalize it to my needs and help me heal the fastest. So the protocol is called Microbe Formulas, and it is unique in that it organizes a 5-phase program of detoxification in the correct order that the body needs to do it in, and it incorporates bioactive binders and oxygen and mitochondrial support. So it provides the energy your body needs to be able to begin the detox process, and then the process is exercised in the proper order. The order is first drainage. Now, drainage is different than detox. Drainage is just making sure that your drainage pathways in your body are open. So your liver and your gallbladder are open and moving. Your bile is moving. Old bile is moving out. Your colon is, your digestion is moving. Your bowel movements are moving, and that your lymphatic system is supported and moving. For me, because I was in bed for a year, and then after that for 7 more years, didn't have energy to exercise, my lymphatic system is pretty shot. So I have been on a real educational journey in learning how critical these detox pathways are. The comprehensive protocol is 5 phases, and it takes a minimum of 10 months. And then there's also a foundational protocol, a simpler one. If you're not super sick, but you've got some symptoms, it's a 4-month protocol with 4 steps to it, a minimum 4-month protocol. The one that I'm doing with the doctor is the comprehensive protocol, and that is taking care of the drainage. That's phase 1. Phase 2 is dealing with parasites. Parasites are actually one of the biggest causes of symptoms and diagnoses and diseases, because they harbor not only their own toxins and their own issues, and they steal all your nutrients, but they also harbor viruses and bacterias and heavy metals and radioactive elements and Lyme and all the co-infections. They house those things. They provide comfortable living spaces for these other organisms and things that cause our bodies active infections. What I learned from these doctors was, if you want to heal from any chronic illness, no matter what you've been diagnosed with, if you have chronic illness of any kind or any chronic issues, your first step, clear the drainage. Second step, get rid of those parasites. And this may take some time. For me, it took about, I would say, 6 months to make just major headway and be like through the first round, because parasites have a life cycle and you kind of have to keep on top of it for a while. But that first round, I had so many parasites coming out. I had no idea I had parasites, because in our country you think, oh, you only get parasites from third world countries or drinking weird water or, licking money or something. My doctors say if you have a pulse, you have parasites. Okay, you guys, I had to sit down because this camera will not go tall enough, and I kept having to squat down a little bit. So I just decided to sit down. Okay, so here is the website. This is Microbe Formulas. Where do I begin? Which protocol is right for me? And it shows you the comprehensive protocol steps. You click on Learn More. These are the 5 phases. Phase 1, energy and drainage. Phase 2, gut and immune support. Phase 3, whole body immune support. So that's getting into deeper issues like viruses, bacteria, Lyme. And then phase 4 is systemic detox, and phase 5 is deeper immune support. So 4 and 5 are getting into the even deeper stuff like radioactive elements that are stored in your bones, and heavy metals and things like that. Now, I want to tell you guys, I did go through several different doctors, even holistic ones and naturopaths, who are like, you need to do parasite. We think you've got parasites. And I always did their parasite protocol and felt horrible. And it would throw me into horrible panic attacks and horrible anxiety and fatigue. And I never ever succeeded in finishing any of their protocols, nor did I see any parasites ever come out. I also did several heavy metal detoxes, and if I pushed too hard, I would totally crash. So I could only do it for about 2 weeks, and then I would crash and I couldn't do it again for another 3 months. And I kept trying to do the protocols that they were telling me to do and crashing. And these doctors with microformulas, they say the reason for that is because you haven't done the detox work in the proper order and prepared the detox organs to be moving fluidly. And so you're going to have Herxheimer stuff. And then also you have to eliminate the critters in the right order. So starting with parasites is the very first thing you want to do. And if you don't do that, and you try to tackle Lyme first, bacteria or viruses or whatever, or heavy metals, those things are housed by the parasites. So if you try to tackle those things before you get rid of parasites, those parasites are going to have a word to say, right? They're going to fight back. And so you're going to find that you just feel horrible and you can't make progress. The other thing I wanted to say is that mold toxicity will prevent you from getting better. And I did not have any tools at my disposal for true mold detox until microformulas, and their binders are so powerful. And there's one in particular that is made for grabbing mold out of the body. And so for me, that saved my life. It was really killing me, the mold was. And so this protocol, I started right away, opening drainage pathways and pulling that mold out of my system. And that took about, 3 months of just really intense pulling that mold out of my system. And pretty soon within those 3 months, I started also taking the Mimosa pudica, which is the thing that grabs parasites and starts pulling it out of the body. And it wasn't until like 8 or 10 months into the protocol that I even started an antiparasitic herb compound or anything like that, any sort of antiparasitic blend that you typically see, black walnut hulls and all that kind of stuff. No, the doctors had me prep my body and really preparing the body and really getting those parasites taken care of, just basic parasites out of the digestive system, just with the Mimosa pudica, which is not an antiparasitic herb. It's just a grabber. It just started grabbing stuff, and all this stuff just started coming out of me, and I was like, whoa. Some of my other symptoms were migraines and horrible teeth grinding and aching all throughout my jaw and swollen tonsils. And migraines are a big deal, especially among women. I had no idea that I had Lyme until I started doing the Lyme phase of the protocol, which I think is phase 3 or 4. They have you working through all the tinctures for all the different critters. And when I got to the Lyme tincture, my symptoms just reared their ugly heads. So the doctor was like, yep, we've hit something here, and let's pull back, let's go slow, let's prepare the body. And so it's going really well. And so I wanted to encourage you. My symptoms, I had mold, I had parasites, I had Lyme I didn't even know about. Lyme actually causes horrible migraines, horrible neck stiffness and joint pain, and also incredibly debilitating anxiety. Parasites cause incredibly debilitating anxiety and that constant hunger, like you cannot get enough food. That will actually throw off your blood sugar levels and your liver enzymes and all kinds of stuff. So this is something that I wanted to share with you guys because these are things I didn't know. I just thought, oh my gosh, I must be diabetic. Something is just so weird, and there's no there's no answer, there's no rhyme or reason. Well, that's not true. The doctors of this protocol encourage you to say, what is the root cause? And they classify 5 basic root causes. Okay, there would be mold. That's actually kind of you deal with that first. And then after that, parasites and heavy metals and radioactive elements and infections, chronic infections like Lyme and other viruses and bacteria. So those things are the root causes of anything that you might be diagnosed with. They are just wonderful, wonderful doctors. And working with them, I have just been so blessed to know that they have gone through these things. They were the ones sick before they learned the biomolecular science, and they designed this protocol and did it on themselves, and then on their families, and then on their friends, and then in their practices with all of their patients. It's just an astounding testimony. If you want, you can go to their website and you can click on About Us, I think, or Our Story, and you can read all about the doctors and how what happened. Dr. J right here, you can see him, and he talks about his wife who had Lyme and almost died several times from it, and then this protocol has just been life-changing for her. And then Dr. Watts, who tells his story about how he had such debilitating fatigue that he could not be a dad. Like, he could not play ball with his kids, and he totally tears up, and I just bawl every time I watch it, because this was me. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, now I'm a mom. How in the world am I going to be a mom, you guys? How am I going to do this? I can't even get up and feed myself, let alone get up and feed my son. And God gave me this protocol just at the right time, to where now I am able to get up and make breakfast for my family. This is something that is just astounding and life-changing, you guys. And if you've walked through chronic illness to such a degree that I have, you know that you don't take that for granted. That energy to serve your family, that energy to love your people, that energy to just get up and get dressed and do your hair and do your face, or get showered, and not think about, oh my gosh, my battery is draining. I only have so much energy left. I will be in bed today. Now I have energy not only to get up and make breakfast for my family, but to do the things that I need to do to build our business, to work our business, to support our team, to make YouTube videos, to get out and garden, to get out and walk. And I'm making progress more each day. I'm not even done with the protocol yet, because I had a lot of work to do. But the kind of progress that I have made over the last year and a half is literally life-changing. This is an immune support tincture that I'm taking for the Lyme, along with this one. And then the Mito Restore is an incredible mitochondrial support. So they talk about how crucial it is to support your mitochondria, because it's the mitochondria that have to have the energy in order to detox all of this stuff out of the body and begin to rebuild. Minerals. Minerals is what I accidentally said was the immune support. So this is a mineral tincture that is bioactive, and it has extracts of folic acid in here, and that is what makes it so powerful to bind onto the cells and get in there and give the cells the energy that they need to do the job. And then oxygen. Okay, if you have mold toxicity, mold starves your body of oxygen. So this was one of the first things that they gave me right away, is get oxygen in your body, and that's going to go into the cells with the binders, the bioactive binders, to pull out the mold and pull out the toxins left from parasites and viruses and radiation and chemicals. And so here's one of the binders. Viradchem. Now this is the Cellcore label, which is the practitioner label, but it's the same stuff as Microbe Formulas. So if you go to microbeformulas.com, you will find these things. And then they have a great, you click on protocols, you can click on the protocol and see what they prescribe for each phase. It's very simple to do. It's not like brain surgery or anything. You follow the protocol that they design, and then you can pick and choose a few things. If you need a little extra support, you can always buy things a la carte. And then Biotox is the main binder that I used for the mold, but it's also really, really helpful pulling parasite toxins out and stuff like that. There is a awesome bowel mover that you have to make sure that your bowels are moving 2 to 3 times a day. This does not give you cramps or diarrhea or anything like that. TEDCA is the #1 liver regenerating, liver antioxidant, liver cleansing, liver detoxification, liver repairing supplement on this protocol. And you guys, I can't even tell you how many things have come out of my liver, parasites and all kinds of stuff because of the TEDCA. Just getting that out of your system alone is gonna transform so many things, hormones and your body temperature and your mood and your skin and your weight and all kinds of stuff. Inflammacalm or control, it's Inflammacalm in the Microbe Formulas label. This one is so helpful if you are someone who is sensitive or has reactions to things. This is going to mitigate that big time. But also they really encourage you, make sure your detox pathways are open. If you're someone who has symptoms every time you try to detox, make sure you're pooping 2 to 3 times a day. Make sure your liver and gallbladder are open and moving and that bile isn't stuck. And if those things aren't the case, then you have to prepare your body you have to work on those things in order for your body to be able to get the junk out. Kidney liver. This is kidney liver support has just been amazing. My liver, as you guys know, just suffered so much from the fertility treatments, and I haven't used any supplements like this before. I've tried so many supplements through so many doctors and nothing worked like these. These ones are different. They are so powerful. They actually work. I was reticent to start the program because I'm like, I've spent so much money on supplements, I've spent so much money on protocols, and how is this different? But the way that they've designed it is how it's different. And then their binders, their minerals, their oxygen, and their Mito Restore. Those are complete. There's nothing else on the market like them. And they have been life-changing for me. So I'm doing the whole entire protocol. I'm using their doctors. So Dr. Todd Watts is the man who designed the protocol. He has an office in Idaho, and he has a doctor that works with him named Dr. Randy Michaud, and they work together in the office. And Dr. Randy is the doctor that I work closely with, and he's the one that designed this protocol for me personally, based on my needs, based on my blood work, based on my mycotoxin test, which is a urine test. So they have you test, they get your test results, they're able to read it. They know exactly what they're looking at. For example, things on my blood work the first time around, they could see that there was active parasite infection. They could see that there was active mold infection. So they knew, and then they had the tests to corroborate those things, like my mold tests and things like that. But they knew exactly what to pinpoint and what to work on first, what the body's biggest problems were, because there were a lot of layers of toxins and infections and things, and they knew exactly what to do first. And so my recovery was incredibly fast. Of course, there's moments where it's a little bit of a bump in the road and it's a trickier day, but oh my goodness, nothing like it used to be, where I would have just months of crashing out because my body can't handle any sort of detox whatsoever. This is just life-changing. If you're like, I just want to do a parasite protocol, they have a parasite kit. If you're like, I really need help with getting my my bowels moving, getting my drainage pathways open, they have a kit just for that. Also, this protocol, you can help your children use this protocol. Your kids can do it too. Our son is 3.5, and he's been on parts and pieces of the protocol ever since he was it's been about 1.5 years since I've had him on some of these things. And he had chronic asthma stuff, chronic eczema, and some other stuff, teeth grinding and other things that were a little interesting that I could not solve. And then we had him go on the microbe formulas protocol. And I talked with the doctor, and on the website, they have measurements for how to dose it out for toddlers and how to dose it out for, different ages, and what to do if they're sensitive. And it is so incredible to have powerful tools as a parent for your children when they're going through something and you're like, what can I do for them? Obviously, drugs don't solve the root problem. We don't want to rely on those. They're helpful in the meantime, but we want to eventually get to the root. And so our son, he had a continual problem with asthma and with eczema and different things and food sensitivities. He could not eat eggs. He could not eat dairy. There were some other, like bananas would make him wheezy. Now that's all gone. It's all gone. And it's because of the mimosa pudica pulling out the parasites and some of the few other things that we've been giving him from this protocol. Now he totally downs eggs with no problem, no itching, no redness, no sneezing, no asthma. He loves eggs and he can eat them. He can eat a little bit of cheese now. He can have bananas, no problem. Like, it is astounding, the changes. One of the things I wanted to say was, what's popular in naturopathic world is to just eliminate the foods that cause you problems. But that's not actually taking care of the root problem either. You're just eliminating stuff out of your life. And really, the more you eliminate out of your diet, as I can attest to, the worse your nutrition really is, because you need all of those good foods. So, you're not as well nourished if you have to keep taking stuff out of your diet. That is not a permanent solution. It can help if you're having a flare up for a short time, but solving the digestive problem is what is going to heal those food issues. And I learned over this 1.5 years that so many food issues are from parasites. And I can attest to this. I couldn't eat eggs, I couldn't eat dairy, I couldn't eat very much fruit at all. It was so minimal what I could eat. And now I can eat eggs, I can eat dairy, I can eat beans, I can eat grains, I can eat sugar, I can eat fruits, I can have desserts and no problem. The last thing that I'm still not eating is gluten. But when I go back on gluten, I want to make sure it's non-GMO, it's organic. And so I'm going to do that when I know my gut is in a good place. And I believe that I can, because the doctors did. They were like, we couldn't eat gluten, we couldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole, and now they can eat it totally fine and not have any problems. So this is really, you guys, this is hopeful and life-changing. So if you have children that are having issues, I want you to know that there is hope for them. And you really need to continually go back to the question, what's the root cause? And this protocol addresses the roots of things. And it may take time. For me, it's been already 1.5 years of being on this protocol. It is obviously an expense, but it has given me my life back. And if you're one of those people who have been bedridden for years or have been chronically ill for years with mysterious things that your doctor has said, either it's all in your head or there's nothing we can do, or take this one more drug, and you just are so exhausted from it and frustrated and mystified by it, I would highly recommend you consider the microformulas protocol. It has just been life-changing. I have a link. If you want to use my link, you get 15% off your first order. I will put that link down in the description box to this video. But you guys, all the things that's taken care of for me, I mean, life-changing from what I was barely able to get out of bed, constant fevers, couldn't concentrate, couldn't do anything because everything was scary, constant panic attacks, to now here I am talking to you about this, and just feeling healthy and feeling normal and feeling whole, and knowing that I have a little bit more to go to heal all the way, but I know I will. I know I will, because these supplements are like none other. And the protocol, the order in which the protocol is done is like no other protocol. Feel free to ask me questions. You guys put your questions in the comments below. Find me on Instagram at Jen Carlson. You can send me a DM there. I've talked a little bit about the protocol there, but I would be so happy to walk with you. The last thing I want to say about this is that the doctors have designed an essential oil protocol to go along with the supplement protocol that supports the body in a really important way. And I was so grateful for these doctors to say essential oils are legit and they help big time. And they actually designed what to do in phase 1, what oils to use in phase 1, how to combine them, where to apply them, and phase 2, and then phase 3 and phase 4. It has been so helpful. So if you want to do that, if you have started the microbe formulas protocol, but you don't have essential oil support, let me know. I can help you get things ordered that you need to use during this protocol. I have big rollers. Here, let me grab one. This one's almost empty, but it's a roller bottle. This is for liver, and this is part of what they recommend for phase 1 and 2. And so roll it right on the liver. So that's what it is. And they recommend what particular oils to put in here. And then I just put a carrier oil with it and I just roll it right over the liver morning and night. They have different recommendations depending on which phases you are in. So if you do not have essential oils to support your system during this time, please let me know and I can help you. I have a link that you can order from and I can help you get set up with the oils that you need. That would be my joy. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope this was helpful to you. I hope you feel my heart to help you. So you or someone else who's walking through this, please feel free to share this video. Please feel free to like it and subscribe to my channel so that this can get out to more and more people who need this hope and this encouragement and these tools. This is just my joy to be a conduit of this information. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye.